So first step is disinfecting everything using bleach water. And while you're disinfecting, then you can be heating up your water for your boiling. We heated up the water to almost boiling.
It was almost boiling. Okay.
And then you pour in the malt and you take it off the heat and do that so you don't get scorched syrup at the bottom of your pot.
Okay. You pretty much just try and scrape like everything you can out.
Scrape everything I can out, and then I'll wash it out.
Okay.
I'll get something and try to get some hot water into it.
Okay. Awesome.
We'll get almost all of it out.
Okay.
So you just want to get as much of the syrup out as you can.
You just scoop some hot water in there and mix it around. Okay.
Then mix it around.
All right. Awesome. All right. So here we just dumped in the hops, and
set it for 45 minutes.
we just set our timer for 45 minutes. Water's still boiling.
Just mix it in.
And Brian is mixing it in. Okay. And we are adding the flavoring hops. And we're going to set the timer for 15 minutes, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Just need to hit start.
Yes, hit start.
Okay, 15 and counting.
Okay, good job, Zach.
Also, I'm going to do for screening. Pour it from one into the other, and hopefully I don't make a huge mess.
All right.
What we're doing is we're trying to get the hops out of it.
And that's what's sitting right there.
So you see these hops?
That's what's sitting right there with the hops.
Looks like some toddler food.
That green mashup.
A double strain?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, just this other bucket's not going to fit very well in the sink.
Oh, good.
Purity, honey. Come on.
And back into the cold.
Back into the cold water.
Do you have to get it to like a certain temperature or?
You just want it to be about room temperature.
Okay.
We're going to end up adding water to it while it's in the carboy. When you put it in the carboy, we're going to end up adding water to it.
Okay.
Okay. It's cooled down. We're about to siphon the what is it called?
Wort.
Into
the carboy.
Into the carboy.
We got the siphon. We got the wort. It's room
So we can
temperature.
start adding water to it. Because you're just going to be adding water anyway.
And siphon down into the carboy. And how much water are we putting in the?
We're going to end up, you put enough water in it to fill it up to about here.
I fill it up about full, and top it off with the wort. Adding the yeast.
$100 billion yeast cells.
Get it all. And now adding some water to the top there.
We'll just keep adding water until we get enough in.
The yeast will initially want oxygen, if I'm not mistaken.
It does.
Oxygenate the yeast. Alright, so we got the water added almost to the top.
So all that I do is you swirl it around. And I put it on a towel. That's partly because I don't want it on this hard when I'm swirling it. Yeah.
This is just to mix it, or
This is just to mix it up, and it also helps aerate it.
Different angle.
Is the color gonna change at all, or
Yes.
lighter, darker?
It'll get, it'll probably get a little lighter after the process is done. But agitating it like this should make sure that everything's stirred up nice and good. And once you do that, some people will say you have to do that for 5 minutes. I've never had to do it for that long. You just do it until it's mixed up pretty well.
Okay.
Then you're good. Quick sample.
All right, we're gonna take a quick sample.
And then we're going to drop our hydrometer in to see how much. And take a hydrometer reading. The rest is clean out.
All right, and then you take the tube, goes into water,
Yep.
It's a lock.
the lock,
No gases can enter.
and it's for how many days?
I'll do this for 3 or 4 days.
Okay,
The main fermentation will probably happen in 2 to 3 days.
Pretty
perfect.
damn good though. That was awesome.
And then when you remove the tube or the lock,
What I'm going to do is
you just put the airlock on it, or the.
I'm going to actually take it out of this
Okay.
and put it into a smaller carboy, a 5-gallon carboy. And what that'll do is it'll take it off all the sediment because there's still, even though we used a strainer, the strainer didn't get the finer sediment.
Okay.
So you still have some green in here, and that green is your
Okay.
hops. So
Gotcha.
we'll finish getting all that out.
Just get the extra stuff out. All right.
Another thing that I do is I end up wrapping it with a towel. So I will use a towel. At this point in the process, sunlight doesn't really affect it. But what a towel does is it'll help hold the heat in so it doesn't,
Okay.
so the temperature doesn't change as much.
Perfect.
So that's what I do. I just throw a towel around it.
Just wrap around.
And then I just check in on it periodically to see how
Perfect.
it's doing.
All right.
Okay, this is after about a day. Then this is what it looks like. It's very similar to how it looked this morning. You can see lots of activity. Okay, it's been about 2 days since we pitched the yeast. You can see that there's still quite a bit of foam, and you can see quite a bit of activity still going on. Okay, it's been about 5 days since we pitched the yeast. You can see that at the top here, then it's darker than on the bottom. That means that you're starting to get some settling in it. You can also see that there's not as much foam at the top with the bubbles. And so the primary fermentation is looks like it's complete. It's moving into kind of the secondary fermentation where you let it set, and it's not going to be as active. But the yeast is still active during this period. It's just not as active as in the first few days. So we're going to go ahead and rack it into the secondary fermentation. So currently my secondary carboy, which is a 5-gallon carboy, is being disinfected. I'm going to disinfect my other equipment. I have a thief, which is this long black item. That's so that I can take another hydrometer reading. I'll disinfect the hydrometer, and then the fermentation lock, the pieces for the fermentation lock are going to be put on. Then I'm going to use this bottom piece to the siphon in order to keep sediment from getting into it. Okay, so now we're siphoning out and putting it into the secondary carboy. You can see that I made sure that the siphon hose is all the way at the bottom. You don't want a whole lot of splashing around because you don't want to oxygenate your beer at this point. The oxygen phase is already done. You really want to minimize any aeration that happens. So it's good to have your siphon hose all the way at the bottom of the secondary carboy. And then we're going to fill it with the wort and put a fermentation lock on it. Okay, so here's the end result with the carboy, the 5-gallon carboy instead of the 6.5 gallon. Got the fermentation lock on it. and we'll let it set for probably 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Then it'll be ready for bottling. That's going to be a separate video. This is going to conclude the brewing video. And this was just a simple wheat beer made with syrups. So it's just a basic brewing recipe.